This is In the Loop. I'm Christian Bryant. I pride myself on being pretty candid with you all, so I'd like to share something before we get started. I sit on an Apple box every day. Feels really good to get that off my chest. Let's get into it. The pandemic has caused a backlog of cases in our nation's court systems. We'll tell you how that's affecting defendants across the country. Plus, we'll tell you how advertisers are working to reach a fatigued audience ahead of Super Bowl 55. But first, here's what you need to know right now.
We will pass the resolution through the Senate today, which means that committees can promptly set up and get to work, with Democrats holding the gavels.
Democrats took control of key committee leadership roles in the Senate today. It's part of what's known as a power sharing agreement. After the runoff races in Georgia, the Senate is split 50-50 between the parties. Democrats hold the majority since Vice President Kamala Harris oversees the Senate and can break any tied votes. But up until today, it had been operating under the rules of the last Congress when the GOP was in charge, which stalled the confirmation of some of President Joe Biden's nominees. Today's change means Democrats are in a stronger position to push legislation through the Senate, including a possible COVID relief bill. Speaking of action on Capitol Hill, today Republican leaders met to have a little chat about the future of two representatives who are on the outs for very different reasons. First up, Marjorie Taylor Greene, the freshman representative from Georgia who has embraced violent conspiracy theories and liked social media posts endorsing the deaths of top Democrats. Democrats have called for her removal on the two committees she's currently on, but ultimately that decision rests with House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy.
Why would Kevin McCarthy continue to associate himself and the Republican conference with someone who leader Mitch McConnell has characterized as a cancer? The last time I checked, cancers need to be cut out and not allowed to metastasize.
House Democrats do have another plan, introducing a resolution to strip Greene of her seats on the House Education and Budget Committees. Meanwhile, Representative Liz Cheney of Wyoming has found herself in the hot seat as the highest-ranking House Republican who voted to impeach former President Donald Trump following the deadly January 6th riot. Trump supporters in Congress want Cheney stripped of her leadership roles for supporting impeachment. To do that, 2/3 of House Republicans would need to agree to hold a vote. The division marks a struggle within the Republican Party to figure out its identity post-Trump. The vaccine news just hasn't stopped rolling in this week, but I'm not complaining. According to a new study, the COVID-19 vaccine developed by University of Oxford and AstraZeneca can have a, quote, substantial effect on curbing transmission of the virus after just one dose. Researchers measured the results in volunteers 3 months after they received one dose. The vaccine was found to be 76% effective at preventing COVID-19. If a second dose was given after 12 weeks, the efficacy went up to 82.4%. The study has not been peer-reviewed yet. Epidemiologists say it does point to promising results, but more research needs to be done. The vaccine has already been authorized in several countries, including the UK and India. AstraZeneca is now conducting a larger trial of nearly 30,000 people in the US. Authorization for the vaccine stateside isn't expected to come until late March at the earliest. While the pandemic has shut down workplaces altogether, others, like some of our nation's court systems, have been paused. And in that time, backlogs of cases have accumulated. Newsy's Jamal Andrus breaks it down for us.
Empty streets, shuttered restaurants, and now closed courts.
The backlog is going to take a really long time, because it's not like everything stops and we're going to get rid of those cases. I mean, it's going to take a really long time.
Okay, it looks like we are live streaming.
Across the country, criminal courts have either gone virtual, been delayed, or stopped indefinitely. 8 states and the District of Columbia have statewide restrictions on jury trials, quote, until further notice. And for some of America's busiest courtrooms, the backlog has had severe and wide-ranging consequences.
What was your first thought when coronavirus struck and the courts shut down here in Chicago?
It was madness.
Catherine Crawford is the Director of Legal Services for the Lawndale Christian Legal Center in Chicago. Her team of lawyers provides free legal defense for young people from the west side of the city facing felony charges.
And it's also going to mean that more people are going to plead guilty to things that they shouldn't have pled to.
In Chicago's Cook County, the second largest county in the country, there were between 700 and 1,000 trials held between April and October in 2017, 2018, and 2019. In 2020, there were 47.
I had a young person who's accused of armed robbery, and it is a mistaken identity case for sure. He called me up 2 days ago. His case manager sent me a text and told me he just wants to plead guilty to get this over with. You know, he was like, I just can't do this anymore. I just can't do this. And I was like, honey, you've got to hold on. You've got to hold on because, you know, we have good motions and, you know, we could win at trial. You just have to hold on. But he's so tired.
It's not uncommon for people accused of crimes to take a plea bargain. The vast majority of criminal convictions are obtained through plea bargains, 97% on the federal level and 94% in state courts. But for those who do want to fight the cases against them, the pandemic has left their lives entangled with the criminal justice system, with no end date.
If I'm out pre-trial and I'm trying to fight my case, and the system is not dismissing cases, it's not dropping cases, it's not closing cases, I am now under surveillance, right, and under the system's watch for some indefinite amount of time.
In Chicago, there are 1,300 more people on electronic monitoring devices this year compared to last year. And for those unlucky enough to be stuck behind bars in pretrial detention, they're facing the very real prospect that they will serve their minimum sentences before they even get a chance to prove their innocence. Jamal Andrus, Newsy, Chicago.
So we talk a lot about the pandemic around here, and it is, after all, kind of a big deal. But tonight we've got something a little different to give you a peek at. Something focused on the future, like way into the future. Newsy's upcoming documentary series Shift explores the front lines of changes in tech and culture. And today we got a first look at this thing. So here's a little sneak peek for you.
What do you think the future looks like?
We see the storms getting worse. When people talk about sea level rise, they don't talk about people like us.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. The bad news is, you're in prison. The good news is, it's not like no prison you've been to before.
More people are coming into VR every day. We are at the absolute dawn of this, of seeing where this goes.
Welcome to the virtual world.
Thanks, Donna.
Are we in a killer robots arms race right now?
Warfare is getting faster and faster. It's massive, the impact it would have on the future.
Golden Globes nominations dropped today, which means two things. We got storylines and we got snubs. Which one y'all want first? Storylines? Storylines. Female filmmakers got some love today, finally, by dominating the directing category, which is a first. Regina King got her nod for One Night in Miami, Emerald Fennell got hers for Promising Young Woman, and Chloe Zhao was nominated for Nomadland. Zhao's nomination represents another historic moment for the Hollywood Foreign Press Association Awards. She's the first ever woman of Asian descent to be recognized in this category. Go ahead and stunt, ladies. Representation hasn't been a strength for the Golden Globes. For instance, women have been recognized only 7 times in 77 years in the Best Directing category. The last woman to be nominated was Ava DuVernay for Selma in 2015. Also, I promised you snubs, so here are a few in no particular order. I May Destroy You, Spike Lee for Da 5 Bloods, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Judas and the Black Messiah, Zendaya, Meryl Streep, Stephen Yeun, Bridgerton, and I'm pretty sure In the Loop could have fit into the comedy and or musical category or something.
We believe that having equal opportunity to be active and to play is the way we achieve our full potential.
Today is National Girls and Women in Sports Day, which is a day to 1, celebrate and inspire girls and women to be active, and 2, promote equality within sports. The 35th celebration of this day comes during a season of significant accomplishments for women in major US sports leagues. In November, Kim Ng became the first woman to lead a major league front office. In December, Becky Hammond became the first woman to serve as a head coach in an NBA game. Last month, the Washington football team recently promoted Jennifer King to assistant running back coach, making her the first Black woman with a full-time coaching gig in the NFL. And on Sunday, Sarah Thomas will become the first woman to officiate a Super Bowl. Here's how Thomas described the history-making occasion.
I never set out to be the first in any of this, but knowing the impact that I'm having on not just my daughter, but young girls everywhere, women everywhere, when I get on that field and I take it all in, I know that I'm probably going to get a little teary-eyed. This is remarkable, and I'm truly honored and humbled to be a part of this year's Super Bowl group.
Dr. Fauci doesn't strike me as a defensive coordinator, but there is something he doesn't want people to catch this Super Bowl Sunday.
Every time we do have something like this, there always is a spike. As much fun as it is to get together in a big Super Bowl party, now is not the time to do that.
The fear is that Super Bowl parties could become super spreader events for COVID-19. That's been an issue for any mass gathering during this pandemic, especially sports celebrations. Remember this? Yeah, that led to a surge of cases in LA County. This is a pretty crucial moment. Right now, cases are falling and vaccinations are picking up, but the US is contending with the community spread of more easily transmissible COVID variants. And Super Bowl parties are usually held indoors, which really ain't the move right now. If you're unsure about how exactly to spend Super Bowl Sunday, take a note from Dr. Fauci.
Enjoy the game, watch it on television, but do it with the immediate members of your family, the people in your household.
Aside from the game itself, which has ranged from nail-biter to snooze fest in recent years, the Super Bowl's next biggest draw are the over-the-top advertisements. Want to guess what a 30-second ad will cost this year? Here's a hint, you ain't got it. But with all of this happening, some advertisers are steering clear while others are doing their damnedest to figure out how to reach a fatigued audience. Newsy's Austin Kim has more on how these creatives are working to strike the right tone.
There she is! A proven winner gives you a great shot during the Super Bowl. Sorry, Tom, not your turn yet. Anyway, when it comes to advertising, known commodities deliver in the big game, as John Petroulis knows.
This is our 4th year in the Super Bowl with Pringles.
He's with Gray Global Group and helped the snack company with this big game spot. Deciding to go the humorous route.
One, you have to understand your audience and what the context is, but you also can't change who you are just to meet that, because that would be inauthentic and that would never be received.
Stack Pringles flavors. Make new ones.
How much do you think Pringles paid these people?
But Pringles and other advertisers had to wrestle with a dilemma because, let's be honest, 2020 was a lot. Brands have to appeal to a fatigued audience and hit the right tone, according to Derek Rucker from Northwestern University.
You know, if we're too happy-go-lucky, we have the potential of seeming out of touch with reality. If we're too serious, we might actually strike the wrong chord. And people who are watching our ads are like, I wanted to be entertained. I wanted to forget about some of this stuff.
Some brands are avoiding the debate altogether.
Matt Pack?
Just hit the clicker, car packs itself.
Despite the acclaimed ads, Hyundai will steer clear of a 30-second Super Bowl spot, which is worth a reported $5.5 million this year. Coke and Pepsi won't be airing ads either. Same goes for Budweiser, although you will see Anheuser-Busch brands like Bud Light and Michelob Ultra.
Although some people are going to have Super Bowl parties, there might be a lot of viewership is detached. We call that social proof, right? I look like, oh yeah, this is a funny ad. If we're watching it in smaller pockets, it may not have the same effect. And so I can 100% see the plan of, you know what, this is not the year to make the investment.
Both Rucker and Petroulis say we will see a variety of approaches during the commercial breaks, including ones that will take a stand on social issues like newcomer Chipotle.
And always when that happens, that opens doors for new players and new brands and new people that feel like this is the right moment. I think it comes down to your brand authenticity and how you feel like you can show up and what is the right thing for you to be doing in this moment.
Now that the hard work is over, Petroulis is going to sit back and enjoy the game like the rest of us. What's he watching for? He says simplicity and surprise. Austin Kim, Newsy, Chicago.
Live entertainment venues might not be operating like normal, but they still know how to work a crowd. We've talked before about how live entertainment venues have been hit pretty hard by the coronavirus. These are the places that were the first to close and maybe some of the last to open. But now that we're in the vaccine delivery phase of this pandemic, these live venues and the people who are used to dealing with crowds are pivoting to help with the distribution process. Newsy's Casey Mendoza explains.
All right, we got the hand from number 6. She's ready for you.
Convention centers, stadiums, concert halls, and theme parks around the country have had to readjust due to the restraints of the pandemic. Now, several are opening back up as COVID vaccine centers.
The purpose here of using the Wisconsin Center is that we are going to see dramatic increases in the number of dosages that we receive.
Disneyland vaccinated 3,000 patients on its first day as a super site in Anaheim, California, and Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles averaged more than 6,000 vaccinations a day in its first 9 days of operation. As the nationwide effort continues, more live entertainment venues are reopening as vaccine centers, and even those that haven't yet are offering their spaces and their organizing expertise to help.
We would really want to be able to help put these people back to work, put them in a place where they're able to help their communities. And of course, it would really be nice to be able to turn the lights on in some of these rooms that have sat dark for the majority of the last year as well.
In an open letter to President Biden, live events organizations like the National Independent Venue Association, the Broadway League, and Live Nation are offering up their venues, workers, and refrigeration systems to strengthen the vaccine infrastructure.
These are professionals that are used to being able to get a massive amount of people into a space. We're used to having the different ticketing services and protocols that come with that, checking people's identification, all of the different elements.
As more states work to pick up the pace of vaccinations, live events organizers hope it means more venues can reopen soon.
We were the first to close and we will be the last to open. And this is a step in the direction of us to be able to reopen again.
Casey Mendoza, Newsy, Chicago.
If you haven't done so already, feel free to reach out to us on Twitter using the hashtag NewsyInTheLoop. I wanted to put my Cash App handle right here, but that just wasn't going to fly. The vinyl revival has been happening for a while now, and I know because I'm one of the millennials that bought a cheap-ass turntable at Urban Outfitters years ago just to play Marvin Gaye's What's Going On. But vinyl sales have surged to historic highs during the pandemic. National reporter Kai Beach tells us more about how a generation of music lovers is getting into the old school listening format.
It's one thing hearing stuff on the radio, it's another thing holding the piece of history that made someone freak out the first week it came out.
Something special happens when a needle connects with vinyl.
How it breathes through your sound system, you just don't get that through your iPod or through digital speaker.
That vintage sound and excitement that can only be heard on records are now spreading to a new generation.
Young people are into old things.
There's always something new, something for someone.
These millennials are looking for a hobby, Oh wait, I'm a millennial too.
While we might be living in a digital world when it comes to music, many are moving back to analog.
When the death of retail and CDs happened, everyone just started looking for more ways to explore and collect music.
Jason Price is a professional DJ who started collecting and selling vinyl records.
You're checking for scratches, you're looking for any kind of warp.
Price also holds a degree in music business. He says record sales are surging so much that he's now working with a new independent business devoted to this vinyl revival, Larimer Records Cafe.
Probably about 100% increase year over year that I've seen. Like record stores in general are doing insane business.
And music experts say what's happening here is happening across the country, as U.S. vinyl album sales hit a new record high in Christmas week of 2020.
According to Billboard, more than 1.8 million LPs were sold in the week ending on December 24th, 2020, beating a previous high that was set just 1 week earlier.
People want good, clear, clean music that they can hold on to.
These record-setting sales don't surprise Price, who says with more artists pressing their own vinyl, record sales will just keep spinning.
Vinyl has come back full circle to where new acts and new records are being pressed all the time now. The future's here for records.
I'm Kai Beach reporting.
That's it for us, gang. As always, thanks for watching. We'll be back tomorrow for more In the Loop. Same time, same location. You thought I was going to say place, didn't you? Top stories from Newsy are headed your way right now.